appeared before the Congressional Committee, the highest representation of the American people, under subpoena to tell what I knew of activities which I believe might lead to an attempt to set up a fascist dictatorship.
Does America owe its edge in military technology to Nazi war criminals brought here after World War II?
The truth is that thousands of former Nazis, some of whom committed atrocities, went to work for the United States government.
Do you have any people paid by the CIA who are working for television networks? This, I think, gets into the kind of getting into the details, Mr. Chairman, that I'd like to get into in executive session.
At CBS, we had been contacted by the CIA. As a matter of fact, by the time I became the head of the whole news and public affairs operation in 1954, ships had been established, and I was told about them and asked if I'd carry on with them.
We're really talking about intelligence at the highest levels of the U.S. government, setting the broad direction for the nation.
Have you brought with you some of those devices which would have enabled the CIA to use this poison for?
We have indeed.
For killing people?
But also the toxin itself would not appear in the autopsy?
Yes.
Well, when the president does it, that means that it is not illegal.
If you've been anywhere near a television set or a radio these past few hours, you already know that John Lennon of the Beatles is dead. He was shot late this evening in front of his apartment building in New York City.
Despite evidence that Noriega was involved in drug trafficking, Bush kept Noriega on the payroll.
We interrupt your regular programming to tell you of a plane crash in northeastern Minnesota, where we have just had confirmed a short while ago 8 people were killed on a small beach aircraft that was on its way to Eveleth, Minnesota, including Senator Paul Wellstone of Minnesota. And according to the senior staff in the senator's office, not only the senator, but his wife Sheila, his daughter, 3 members of his staff, and the 2 pilots.
The CIA has been and is now completely out of control.
The accusation is that drugs are being sold by the Contras and that the CIA knew about it and didn't do anything.
There it is. Shots. God. These are the agents immediately diving after the assailant. There are 2 or 3 people down on the ground.
An assassination attempt. The president was hit, but pushed immediately into the limousine and rushed to the hospital.
William Colby has been missing since April 27th. His canoe was found washed up on the banks of the Wicomico River April 28th.
He's missing and presumed drowned.
The United States tonight declared in effect that Panama's General Manuel Noriega is a threat to this country's national security.
When George Bush became director of the CIA in 1976, he inherited Noriega as a contact.
When you read these outrageous charges by a drug-related, indicted dictator, discount them. They are total lies.
In 1976, Flight 455, which took off from Venezuela bound for Cuba, suddenly exploded. All 73 passengers and 5 crew members aboard died after the plane crashed near Barbados. Four of the terrorists were found to be Latin Americans contracted by the U.S. One of the attack's masterminds, Posada Capriles, currently lives freely in Miami.
Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
I will tell you, Director Deutsch, as a former Los Angeles police narcotics detective, that the agency has dealt drugs throughout this country for a long time.
That is just part of a powerful new video montage put together by Darren McBreen that we're going to air in its entirety later in the transmission. We're live, ladies and gentlemen, on this Wednesday edition. I'm Alex Jones, your host. Also, the former head of policy and the former chief editor of the Wall Street Journal, the father of Reaganomics, Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, will be joining us for 30 minutes at the start of the second hour. There is so much to get to today here. I don't even know where to start. There is just so much on so many different fronts. There's a new national poll out. Troops turn on commander-in-chief, deeply unpopular. In fact, he's the most unpopular president with the military ever. The Military Times is reporting. We're going to be going over some of that news today. So he's incredibly unpopular across the board. He's incredibly unpopular with Democrats as well. Obamacare in national polls is over 80% unpopular when you poll both conservatives, independents, and liberals. If you just poll liberals, the last numbers I saw was over 65% don't like it. And it hasn't even been fully implemented yet. The massive premium increases, the massive deductible increases, the cutting of care, the rationing of care, the death panels, turning our healthcare system into a cross between the British national healthcare system and the VA. Military Times is a special report. America's military, a conservative institution's uneasy cultural evolution. Oh, it's an evolution. And then there's Obama's mark on the military. Less than 20% of the military polled likes Obama. The president has never been popular with the military, but this approval among active duty troops has created and has cratered in the last year. It's gone from 37% at its high to now down to, 12% that approve? And then in military culture, you're not even supposed to, as active duty, disapprove publicly of the president, but still when polled, 60% disapprove. But it's almost 10%. It's hovering right above 10% that approve of the president now. The latest numbers, there's different polls out there, but this particular one says 15%, if you put your cursor over it, approve, and 55% disapprove. I was eyeballing the graph with my eyeballs. In his first term, President Obama oversaw repeal of the controversial Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. Then he broke with one of the military's most deeply rooted traditions and vowed to lift the ban on women serving in combat. And the commander-in-chief has aggressively sought to change military culture by cracking down on sexual assault and sexual harassment, problems that for years were underreported or overlooked. Well, the military always said, don't stick a bunch of women in with a bunch of 20-year-old high testosterone males in the same barracks. You're going to have people having sex. And what's happening is they're getting pregnant. Most of it's consensual. But yeah, you stick a woman naked in with a bunch of 20-year-old men, you bet they're going to get their butt grabbed. You bet they're going to get asked out every 30 seconds. You bet that there's going to be serious problems. And this is all part of the social engineering to destabilize the military ahead of going to autonomous drones, autonomous ground combat robots, which is all being announced. Oh, the drone pilots are depressed? We're replacing them next year with robots. And guess what? For 10 years, it's declassified this year. They just declassified it in late 2014. So now 2015. I have to say last year that they're going to all autonomous with the robots making their own decisions. So this is just part of getting humans to fight with each other and to destabilize society, destabilize the family, break up the culture at every level ahead of the next phase of social engineering. That's all that's going on here. And the real reason the military is upset with Obama is not over don't ask, don't tell, even though that's meant to cause destabilization or putting women in frontline combat. In fact, I just saw yesterday where in the Navy and other branches, they're not going to make women cut their hair. See, men have to cut their hair, but women don't. Oh, and women don't have to be able to carry a 75-pound pack on a 40-mile hike. They now only have to carry a 30-pound pack. So the women get to carry a 30-pound pack and have their hair long, and we're going to cut how long you hike. And then I guess in combat, if you got to put somebody on your shoulders, that takes a strong man every ounce of will they've got to gut up in the testosterone and adrenaline and pick somebody up and carry him a mile. The average woman can't do that. The average man can't do that. That's why they have standards. But don't worry. Women are going to get leave now from frontline combat when they're having their menstrual period. And they're going to be given medications to help them ease it.